What gives me hope is the Word of God. I love the Word of God and the God of the Word. I encountered Him at such a very profound way that it's actually helped me through the toughest moments of my life growing up. The Word of God and God Himself, who He is and what He says He would do, has brought me hope, and I hold on to that.
The time that I had to hold on to God's hope was when James and I couldn't have kids. We had a lot of avenues that we could go down, like adopting. It just came to a point where James and I decided that we were going to trust God about it.
I had to hold on to God's hope when just in situations just with family and with making it through uni. I have a fridge magnet at home that Irene gave me, which is from Isaiah, and it says, I will go before you, make the crooked places straight. And I really cling to that because it gave me something that I could have hope in, that in all my areas of life that God could pave a way for me to go through, and that I wouldn't have to go on it alone without knowing anything.
And we got out examples from the Bible. Abraham and Sarah and Hannah, Samuel's mom, Elizabeth, Mary's cousin Elizabeth, who was Zechariah's wife, and how she had John the Baptist. After that, after waiting on God for so long, it was during that time that God actually built hope in us. We started at a point where we weren't sure whether we were going to have kids or whether we were going to adopt or something, but constantly going back to the Word of God and actually standing on His words of promise, standing on His surety that we will be parents. That's when God really built the foundation for hope in our lives, hope in Him. And yeah, that was a very significant time.
Probably more than 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with an acute depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. It's PTSD. I never thought I would come to that point. I was a believer at an age 10 and never thought I would go through that point in my life. I think that was the time in my life where I thought I'm losing hope, to the point of I started to lose faith that God can heal me and God can take me out of it. And so I'm in and out of the hospital. I tried to just end it all. But at one point in my life, I think I had a one-on-one with God, in a sense of, God, if you won't heal me, if you won't do anything, I would be gone. Well-meaning friends told me, take your mind and your focus off yourself. So I went and do some mission work. I went to India for a mission trip and nothing changed. First year, second year, so 2 years in a row, it was like a deep sadness and deep despair and just hopelessness, sense of hopelessness, and it's like a cloud of darkness hovering around me. And I received a prophecy at the time in India and saying that I would go through a roller coaster ride. And they prayed over my hand and said that hold on to the railing, as like you're holding on to God while you're in that roller coaster ride. And it gave me that sense of hope to know that God knew what's going to happen to me even before it happened. The third year of me having that depression and was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, I committed myself to the hospital because I really want to get well. And on the way to the hospital, I was actually screaming to God and say, God, if you don't do anything, I would be gone. So please speak to me. And that point in time when I entered the hospital, this song came into my mind, fear not, for I am with you. When you walk through the waters, you will not drown. When you go through fire, you will not be burned. And the story of Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, when they were thrown into the fiery furnace, that was like rolling on my head, like photos, like pictures. And so when I went into my room, I went and opened my Bible, and over again I read it, and it spoke to me that the same God that saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is the same God that is able to redeem me. There was no trace that they have been in the fiery furnace. Their body wasn't burned, their hair wasn't singed, no smoke, smell of smoke. And God spoke to my spirit that there will be no trace that I have been there in the fire. And although I went into the hospital feeling so hopeless and almost to the point of not wanting to let go of my faith, God redeemed me again and told me, I'm gonna turn your life around.